Drygate Brewery, Tone Burst, Rhubarb, Vanilla Weisse.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. This evening has been an absolute disaster. I have had some terrible beers. I've just tried the Platform 6.1 by the Wessex, Wickwar Wessex Brewery. Fuck me, that was absolute dog shit. Before that I had some of the Woodford Amber Ale, US Amber Ale, really not good. And then I had some of the old Empire IPA by Marston's, which was okay, wasn't too bad, but that last one really has put a downer on me. And I'm running out of supplies in the fridge, and I'm really picking up the dregs, if you know what I mean. And I found this. This is one I think I got from Lidl when they were doing their craft beer range. I think it was one of the ones that were on special offer. I think it was £1.90 or something. It was under £2 anyway. And I really like Berliner Weisse, believe it or not. And I have a German mate who keeps telling me you're not supposed to drink Berliner Weisse on its own. It has to be flavoured with a soft drink, and it's a girl's drink, etc, etc. But I do like sour beer. What I don't like is rhubarb. I fucking hate the stuff. I remember at school when I was a kid, remember at school when I was an adult, I remember at school last week, back in the 70s, and they'd give you rhubarb crumble and custard. It was fucking disgusting. I didn't mind the custard or the crumble bit, but the fucking rhubarb, it is just fucking vile. And it says something about rhubarb where the leaves are poisonous if you eat them. But this has got rhubarb in it. It actually has. They say it's an adjunct that is in this beer, which is refreshing because you know what? A lot of these IPAs and pale ales that are being brewed now, I'm sure they've got adjuncts in them, or they're adding fruit juice into them to get them that really juicy type flavour. I really don't think, the more I drink, especially New England's, the more I drink them, the more I doubt that all the flavour is, not all. There are some that can do it, but a lot of these new craft brewers, I'm sure they're throwing in pineapple juice, pineapple rind, lemon zest, lime zest, etc, to get these really juicy flavours. But at least Drygate have said that they put rhubarb in this. Now why I'm drinking it I don't know. I bought all the ones from Lidl when they were doing this craft brew range, and everyone's reviewed this. I've not looked at the reviews purposely. I don't like looking at reviews before I review beer. I don't want anything influencing me, so you know, I do try to keep it sort of my own opinion. I don't want to take opinions from other people. I'll be the judge of what's good and what's bad. But the Drygate Brewery, to be honest, I'm not really impressed with him. I've tried a couple of their beers. That Disco Forklift, didn't think much of that. And that Crossing the Rubicon, fuck me, that was fucking crap, and it's still for sale. Who buys that shit? Anyway, so I've got this. So I'm hoping this could be the first beer from the Drygate Brewery that I actually like. So let's see. It is a 440ml can, 3.2%, which is about right. Berliner Weisse does not have a big ABV on it. It's, as I said, it's got rhubarb in it, and this is what craft brewers do. They experiment with traditional styles and throw all sorts of flavour in it. What does it say? Tone burst is hazy and light with fruity aromas, prickly carbonation, and a jolt of lemony acidity. That is about right. And then here we have the alarm bells, packed with rhubarb to complement the sharp bite of our base. Berliner Weisse is a staccato burst of flavour, juicy, sharp, and refreshing. And a quick bit about the brewery. Drygate Brewery have been making beer in the historic heart of Glasgow since 2014. We brew with open doors and open minds. We believe great beer can come from anyone and anywhere. I don't fucking believe that. Collaboration with our community is at our core. We love showcasing creators of beer, food, art, design, music, comedy, poetry, and more. Vegan friendly. Fuck off. Let's get this shit open. Now, before we start, it sounds like I'm knocking this beer. I haven't tried it. This could be an amazing beer. I'm not bemoaning the fact that they put rhubarb in it, because as I said before on the intro, Berliner Weisse is supposed to have stuff added to it like fruit juice, etc. So they're really not deviating too far away from what a Berliner Weisse is supposed to do. Me personally, I like drinking Berliner Weisse on its own because I love sour beer. People put sweet fruit juice into Berliner Weisse to take away that sharp, tart, sour type flavour, which I think is what makes a Berliner Weisse. Anyway, that's just me. Let's get this shit into a glass. Right, there it is in the glass. Quite a lot of carbonation, as you would expect. The camera is making that look lighter than it is. It's quite a dull. It actually does look like a Weizen. With the colour it is, it's very murky. There is a two-finger white head. What are we getting on the nose? Yeah, sour esters, as I would have expected. But the aroma isn't big. Now, normally when I try Berliner Weisse, and I have tried quite a few Berliner Weisses, the Kindle one is the one that really springs to mind. The carbonation is just popping out, and that is just wafting out sour esters. Obviously, it's not for everyone. If you don't like sour beer, you won't like a Berliner Weisse, but I love my sour beers. And this has got alarm bells ringing for me because there is not any big aromas in this. And of course, aroma is a big thing for me. It's a big thing for me. It should be a big part of beer. It goes a long way to giving you an indication of what the beer tastes like. It's not unknown. I have had beers before where the aroma is non-existent and you drink and it is absolutely gorgeous, but they're few and far between. Let's try this one then. Bottoms up. God, that's sour. Not as sour as I thought it would be, but the sourness is there. And it just dies a death. I'm getting some malt on this, which you don't normally get from a Berliner Weisse, but it is there. I am getting some biscuit malt on the end, but it's all about the sherbet sourness, if you can imagine that. The rhubarb, I'm not really getting it. I would have thought it would have been a bit sweeter. I'm not complaining because I'm not a massive fan of sweet beer, but the fact it's been flavoured with rhubarb, it hasn't overpowered the Berliner type flavour to it. Normally on a Berliner Weisse you get sourness all the way through. This dies very quickly. The finish is a bit disappointing. And to be honest, this is what I got from the crossing the Rubicon as well. It was just disappointing. This is okay. It has got some of the sourness I would have expected from a Berliner, but it's again very uninspiring. Normally I'll be expecting like really sharp, tart sourness from a, you know, from a decent Berliner, and I'm not getting it here at all. I'm getting a little suggestion of sourness. There's some earthy flavour rhubarb in there. It's not sweet at all. They've used, I'm assuming, natural rhubarb, because normally, you know, sweet rhubarb and custard, it does go well. You know, I've had, who was it? I think it might have been from Brewdog, but it reminded me of rhubarb and custard. You know, the old sweets? It was like that with a load of sherbet in it, in liquid form, and it wasn't too bad. What was that called? Quench Quake. That was the one. Quench Quake. And that was quite nice. It was a sort of a sour beer. I don't think they called it a Berliner. I can't remember. They may have done. But that reminded me of the sort of rhubarb and custard fruit salad type sweet, if you know what I mean. This, it just hasn't got any of it. There's an earthiness to it, which I think is coming from that rhubarb. And it's okay, but it's not a fantastic Berliner. I'm not massively impressed with it. It has got some of the sourness I would have expected, but it's not big. And it dies so quickly. And you're left with an earthy, almost rhubarb, but not quite, if you know what I mean. There is a suggestion of it, but nah, I'm not digging this. It's not the greatest. So what's the verdict on Tone Burst Rhubarb Berliner Weisse? I wasn't a fan of Drygate to start off with, and again they're just confirming my fears about this lot. The sourness is there, which is good, but it dies quickly, and the rhubarb flavour, which I would have hoped would have been sweeter, and it isn't there. It's just like an earthy rhubarb that's been dug up from the soil, shaken and thrown into a mash tun, and oh, it's just really not doing it for me at all. I'm going to give it a very generous 5 out of 10. I'm giving it the 5 out of 10 because the price, it's under £2. There is some of the sherbet sourness, and that's about it. The downside is the rhubarb is not there at all, which I'm not complaining about too much because I'm not a massive fan of rhubarb, but I would have expected bigger rhubarb flavours. That's not there. And the finish just dies really quickly, and the malt comes through as well. Now, malt isn't something that I would expect to associate with Berliner Weisse, but there is some there. And overall, it's just disappointing. So it's going to get a 5 out of 10. Whether you can get it or not now, I don't know. This was left over in the fridge. There was something, I think it was because it was Drygate, that I just didn't bother reviewing it. And, you know, on a night of absolute shit beer reviews, or shit beer that I had to review, then I thought I'd crack this one open, but nah, it's not really for me. I'm not going to recommend it. 5 out of 10, and yeah, if you're desperate for a sour beer, then yeah, try and get hold of some of that. And remember, I'm drinking this shit, so you don't have to.